You know that feeling. You're in a meeting trying so hard to catch every single word, but later you think, wait, what was that key detail? Or maybe you've sat through a really fast lecture and it just washes over you.
Oh, absolutely. Information overload, especially when it's coming at you through your ears, it's a huge challenge today. So much audio everywhere.
Exactly. So, how do you get really well informed and fast when information's just flying at you like that?
Well, it's funny you ask. Sometimes looking at really structured situations, like, believe it or not, certain busts, can actually show us some universal tricks for, cutting through that noise.
That's exactly where we're headed today. Our deep dive is into the IELTS listening test. Now, hold on. Don't tune out if you're not taking the test.
Right, because this isn't just about exam prep. Think of it more like a master class in pulling out information effectively from all sorts of different audio.
Precisely. We're using an IELTS listening test guide as our source today. And our mission, to unpack its structure, find the surprising bits, and pull out strategies anyone can use to listen better and not get swamped, whether it's for an exam or, frankly, just for life.
And it matters because understanding why it's designed this way, it actually reveals a lot about how we process spoken stuff. Moving from just hearing to really listening. It's about consciously getting better at that.
Okay, let's get into the blueprint then. The IELTS listening test, it's got this really clear structure, 4 sections.
Right. 4 sections, 10 questions in each one.
So 40 marks total. And what the guide really highlights, which I think is fascinating, is that the answers always follow the audio order within each section.
Yeah, you don't have to jump around
Actually
mentally.
backtracking, which is huge when you think about it.
That linearity, it's
Yeah.
it's actually a really smart way to manage cognitive load, isn't it? Your brain knows the information will flow predictably.
So you can focus on understanding, not just trying to remember where you heard something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It suggests that, in any presentation or meeting, if you look for the speaker's sequence, their structure, it helps you anticipate, kind of map their thinking.
That's a great way to put it. And you need that focus because the difficulty, it definitely ramps up. Section 1 is the easiest, section 4 is the hardest. Always.
Always. It builds the challenge.
And now, speaking of challenges, timing. You get about 30 minutes of actual listening time.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is key for the paper version, you get an extra 10 minutes at the end, just for transferring your answers onto the answer sheet.
Which sounds like just a test detail, but it points to something broader.
Right.
Right? Capturing information effectively, whether it's scribbling notes to type up later or using drop downs on a computer, how you record matters.
It really does. And speaking of adapting, there's another big piece, the voices. The guide points out a major challenge is the range of English accents.
Oh, yeah. You'll hear speakers from the British Isles, Australia, New Zealand, the US, Canada. It's quite a mix.
It really forces you to adapt your ear, doesn't it? The guide even suggests finding practice materials with specific accents, like MJG Education's mock test apparently uses Canadian speakers.
And that's invaluable. Moving beyond just the words to understand people from different backgrounds, a slightly different vowel sound, maybe a different intonation.
It can change the whole emphasis.
Exactly. You learn to listen for the core message, not get tripped up by how it sounds, builds mental flexibility.
Okay, so let's walk through the sections. Section 1, the everyday conversation. What's that typically like?
Usually 2 people, pretty normal social situation, maybe someone calling about a job or booking travel, asking about a service, that kind of thing.
And the main task is usually filling in blanks on a form completion.
Yeah, that's the main one for section 1. It eases you in, focuses on basic details, but it's setting you up with habits you need later.
Right, and some crucial rules apply right from the start. First big one, you only hear it once.
No replays. That forces concentration.
Absolutely. You also need to read the instructions carefully, especially word limits, like no more than 2 words and/or a number. Get that wrong, the answer's wrong.
Spelling and punctuation count too.
Yeah.
Little details, big impact.
And the guide talks about thinking ahead about what kind of information you need. A name, a number, a place.
Active listening from the get-go. And then there are the distractors.
Ah, yes, the distractors. Tell us about those.
Well, it's information that sounds right, but isn't the final answer. Someone might suggest a time, then change their mind. Or mention a price, then correct it.
So you have to listen for the confirmed information, like someone saying, oh, maybe Tuesday. Then actually, no, Wednesday works. You need Wednesday.
Precisely. It trains you to filter. And the guide suggests reading the form or notes before you listen. Get the gist.
Makes sense. Get the context. And don't repeat info that's already printed on the form.
Right. And for the paper test, Jotting answers on scrap paper first, then transferring neatly in those 10 minutes. Good practice. Draft before finalizing.
Okay, moving up the ladder. Section 2. What happens here?
Usually one person speaking. A monologue, often about something in the community, maybe local facilities, an event, sometimes education or training themes.
And sometimes there's a visual, a map or diagram.
Yes, that can happen. It adds a layer. You might have to follow directions on a map or label parts of a diagram based on what you hear.
So it's less conversational, more informational.
Exactly. You're following a single speaker's line of thought, which might be structured spatially or thematically. Think of a tour guide or someone explaining a process.
What are the key strategies here?
Well, you get time before the audio starts to read the questions. Use it. Underline keywords in the questions and options. Try to anticipate what they'll talk about based on those keywords.
Proactive listening again. Frame your focus.
Definitely. And beware, the guide warns about many distractors in Section 2 as well. Answers that seem plausible, but are wrong. You've got to be sharp.
Okay, the difficulty is definitely increasing. Let's talk Section 3. This sounds more complex.
It is. Section 3 is usually a conversation, but with up to 4 people. Often in a university setting, students discussing a project with a tutor, maybe.
4 speakers. That's a jump.
It is. And they're usually discussing an issue, maybe suggesting solutions. The guide points out it gets harder because the pace picks up and the vocabulary is more academic, less common.
So you're tracking multiple viewpoints now, not just facts.
Exactly. And maybe arguments or disagreements. Note-taking becomes really crucial here for specific details.
How long can this section run?
The guide mentions a complete tour. Section 3 can be like 1.5 to 2 minutes long. So yeah, you really need stamina and good note-taking skills. It's not a quick chat.
Wow. That really highlights the need for practice and sustained listening and summarizing.
For sure. And effective note-taking isn't just for tests, is it? It's meetings, lectures, distilling the essence in real time. Critical skill.
Okay, the final hurdle, Section 4. The university lecture. Sounds like the peak.
It is. This mimics a real academic lecture. One speaker delivering complex information. This is where the listening difficulty is highest.
Why specifically? Just the speed?
Speed is part of it, yes, but also the complexity of the vocabulary and sentence structure. And importantly, you need to understand the overall meaning, the gist, even when the speaker uses synonyms for key terms.
So they might talk about, say, environmental impact and later refer to ecological consequences.
Exactly that kind of thing. You need to connect those related concepts to follow the argument. It's about understanding the flow of ideas, not just isolated words.
So note-taking is still vital here for dates, names, events.
Absolutely. But the guide gives a great tip. Listen for signposting words.
Signposting words? Like what?
Words and phrases the lecturer uses to structure the talk. Things like firstly, secondly, however, in addition, to illustrate, in conclusion. They signal where the argument is going.
Like verbal road signs.
Precisely. They tell you a new point is starting, or there's a contrast coming or a summary. If you track those in your notes, using headings maybe, it helps you follow the structure. A shift in topic often means the next question is coming up.
That's a fantastic tip, not just for IELTS, but for any lecture or complex presentation. Listening for the structure itself.
It's like having an internal GPS for the speaker's thoughts.
Okay, so before we wrap this section analysis, just a quick rundown of the types of questions you might see across all these sections.
Sure. The main ones are form completion, multiple choice, short answer questions, sentence completion, matching lists, and labeling a plan, map, or diagram.
Quite a variety. But the key thing, as you said earlier, is that the answers always appear in the order they are spoken in the audio for all question types in all sections.
Yep, that consistency is built in. It helps manage the cognitive load, letting you focus on understanding what's being said right now.
So bring this all together, we've unpacked the IELTS listening structure. What does this mean for you, the listener, just navigating everyday life?
Well, think about it. If understanding this structured approach, anticipating content, spotting keywords, filtering out those distractors, adapting to accents can make you better in a test.
Imagine how those skills transfer to meetings, to phone calls, even just listening to the news or, well, this deep dive.
Exactly. It's about becoming a more active, more conscious listener. Are you anticipating what the speaker might say next? Are you identifying their main points versus supporting details? Are you noticing when they shift gears?
So maybe the provocative thought to leave you with is this. If applying a more deliberate, almost test-like focus to listening in specific situations can sharpen your skills.
Where else could that focused observation help? How could practicing anticipating or identifying signposts or filtering distractions improve your comprehension and maybe even your decision-making day to day?
It's about taking control of how you process incoming information. So next time you're in a complex discussion, try it. Treat it like section 3 or 4. Ask yourself, what's the core issue? What are the key points or solutions? Any signposts?
See if it doesn't help you cut through the noise and really grasp what's essential. You might just catch those crucial details, and maybe even the distractors that others miss.